I don't think I think Tank will sign that contract.
Dang.
And I'm going to sign a contract too. So it's
Now you gonna get it on.
Yeah.
They throw shots, but they say so. Like he throw shots, and then want to be buddy. You know what I mean? And I feel as though that's don't be like that. If you like that, then stand on that.
On one harsh stipulation, Gervonta Davis is willing to face Shakur Stevenson. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis solidified his place among boxing's top fighters on June 16th at the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas with a spectacular knockout of Frank Martin in the 7th round. Since he won the vacant title by defeating Yuriorkis Gamboa in December 2019, Davis has successfully defended the title 5 times. He currently has a perfect 30 record with an amazing 28 knockout victories. Davis has made a name for himself in the lightweight division as a formidable fighter and knockout artist.
And the whole Loma thing wasn't his fault. Loma's the one that backed out of it and said he was going to take some time away. So that's not necessarily on Tank. Regardless if we're talking resumes or not, I think the one thing that Tank has over Shakur is he's actually entertaining to watch. He is a pay-per-view fighter. He does sell pay-per-view fights. Like, people want to see Tank fight. He's exciting. I don't think Shakur or Stevenson has that under his belt.
The stakes are higher than ever as Davis prepares for his upcoming challenge. There is a lot of quality in the lightweight division, and Davis has several rivals. The most notable of these is Shakur Stevenson, the current WBC lightweight champion and silver medalist from the 2016 Olympics. In addition to being a fight for unification, a fight between the two would also be a collision of styles. Public interactions between the two fighters have increased interest among spectators by highlighting Davis's destructive power against Stevenson's defensive prowess in this possible clash.
And he'll be 31 time of his retirement. Like, I'm not buying that. I do think there's some truth to what he's saying in terms of, like, I buy that he wants to just step away. There's a lot of fights we're potentially missing out on. And today, this is noteworthy, but he dismissed Shakur Stevenson as somebody who's accomplished nothing in boxing. Their resumes they're not like terribly far apart in terms of quality of opposition, things of that nature. Like, Tank's been in our lives a lot longer, but Shakur Stevenson rose to prominence very quickly. And I think, like, that's a myth.
In addition to Stevenson, Davis has other fascinating opponents in the form of Mexican rising star William Zapps and WBO junior welterweight champion Teofilo Lopez. Although every battle has its own set of difficulties, Stevenson stands out as the most important because to its legacy and the enthusiasm of its supporters. As the champion, Shakur Stevenson poses a crucial challenge for Gervonta Davis. Stevenson is unbeaten and considered by many to be among the boxing world's most technically proficient competitors. Stevenson, who won a silver medal at the 2016 Olympics, has steadily advanced through the professional ranks by using his keen defensive abilities and high ring IQ to outsmart his rivals. A possible meeting between him and Davis would be an intriguing tactical chess match because of the stark differences in their styles. Stevenson has publicly challenged Davis, stated his desire to fight him, and made it apparent that he thinks he has what it takes to prevail.
Me and Tank, it's the biggest fight in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be the biggest boxing fight in the world when it happens. I could see it happening not too far in the future.
Really?
I think Tank will sign that contract.
Dang.
And I'm going to sign a contract too, so it's
Now
like,
you gonna get it on.
In addition to garnering a lot of attention, the unification bout between Davis and Stevenson would advance the careers of both competitors. For Stevenson, a victory over Davis would add an unexpected twist to the story by solidifying his position as the uncontested king of the lightweight category. While for Davis, a victory would silence detractors who claim that he has not regularly faced top-tier opponents. In a recent statement, Davis alluded to his intention to retire from the sport following 3 more bouts in 2025. Fans and analysts have been wondering why he made this announcement. It is interpreted by some as a negotiating strategy, although others see it as a sincere sign that Davis intends to leave boxing on his own terms. Davis's remarks were given in a dissatisfied tone that suggested he was frustrated with the boxing community, or perhaps with the pressures of staying at the top. He is a star because to his unbeaten record and knockout-heavy career, but the pressure to perform consistently against elite opponents might wear him out. Fans would lose out on possible big-name fights if he retired, especially the eagerly awaited bout with Shakur Stevenson. Although his achievements to date are impressive, Davis's legacy could be greatly impacted if he fulfills his retirement plans. While the possibility of Davis versus Steven exhilarates fans, stepping away without facing Stevenson or other elite opponents like Teofimo Lopez raises concerns about how he would have performed against the best of his generation. The path to making the fight is paved with obstacles. According to rumors, Davis has imposed a harsh condition on the fight. One possible bone of contention is that Davis may insist on rehydration in order to prevent Stevenson from gaining too much weight after the weigh-in. Despite being prevalent in boxing, these conditions are contentious because they may have an impact on a fighter's performance and potentially jeopardize their health. On the other hand, Davis might argue for a bigger payout, pointing to his reputation as a pay-per-view attraction. These discussions are frequently heated and have the potential to postpone or completely end the conflict. Both fighters' unbeaten records and championship statuses are what make this match commercially appealing. Therefore, any dispute over terms runs the risk of depriving fans of a contest that might define a new era in the lightweight category. Shakur Stevenson's alleged rejection of a one-fight deal in favor of a multi-fight arrangement is another twist in the Davis-Stevenson story. Steven Espinoza's disclosure of this development calls into doubt Stevenson's strategy for landing well-known fights. Multi-fight agreements can provide stability and financial security, but they can also make discussions more difficult, especially when a celebrity like Davis is involved and has a lot of negotiating power. In response to Stevenson's requests, Davis has dismissed them, saying that Stevenson is not worthy and that he needs more experience before facing a fighter of Davis's caliber. Davis's remarks imply that, despite having a world title, Stevenson has not yet demonstrated his abilities at the greatest level. This contemptuous demeanor may be a ploy to gain leverage in talks, but it also runs the danger of offending supporters who are dying for the fight to take place. For his part, Stevenson probably views a multi-fight contract as a means of achieving his long-term professional objectives, which include fights against other well-known opponents. However, this approach might backfire if it prevents or postpones his chances of facing Davis, a match that would surely define his career. According to Avis, Davis recently voiced his annoyance at what he perceived as Shakur Stevenson's inconsistent actions. Stevenson's private behavior differs from his public character, especially on social media. He blames Stevenson for acting fearlessly on the internet, but acting differently in person, citing an incident in which Stevenson allegedly went to Davis's locker room to take a picture after making harsh remarks on Twitter. "Don't be like that," Davis said. "Stand on that if that's what you like. Don't try to be saying all this stuff on Twitter and then run to my locker room and want to take a picture." His remarks draw attention to what appears to be a lack of authenticity in Stevenson's behavior, implying that Davis expects more consistency between words and deeds. Additionally, Davis expressed skepticism about Stevenson's intentions regarding a possible fight, asserting that Stevenson wouldn't fight me despite his public statements. This further exacerbates the ongoing tension between the two, as Davis appears to be challenging Stevenson to demonstrate his seriousness by entering the ring on Davis's behalf. The issue appears to be integrity and keeping one's word, not just the fight.
You and Shakur had some back and forth. I'm talking about some serious back. This is the first time I ever seen Tank. Listen, this might have been the first time I seen my Tank from Baltimore come out. Nigga said, "What up, Buzz Long and this?" I was like,
Cause it's like, I wasn't really on no like speaking on other people's name type stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, The
verbal exchanges between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Shakur Stevenson have added more fire to an already heated boxing landscape. Recently, Davis aimed a pointed jab at Stevenson, saying, "What has Shakur done? What has he done in sports? He has done nothing." These words underscore the rising tension between two of boxing's most talented fighters, both of whom are carving out their legacies in the lightweight division. Shakur Stevenson has responded to Tank's remarks with confidence, asserting his skills and accomplishments while expressing interest in a future clash. Stevenson, known for his slick defensive abilities and tactical acumen, seems unbothered by the critique. On the other hand, Davis's comments reflect his belief in his superiority, a sentiment backed by his reputation as a knockout artist with a substantial fan base. This exchange shows what makes sports competitive, not just egos. Both fighters have strong followings, and a potential matchup would be a blockbuster event for boxing. Stevenson recently moved to lightweight, where Davis reigns as one of the top fighters, making a future showdown between the two more plausible. The verbal sparring adds intrigue and builds anticipation for what could be a defining fight in their careers. Boxing thrives on rivalries, and this one has all the elements of a classic: talent, trash talk, and the promise of high stakes. For now, fans are left speculating on whether these words will lead to action in the ring. If a fight were to materialize, it would not only settle the score, but also provide a platform for both fighters to prove their greatness. Until then, the war of words is likely to continue, keeping the spotlight firmly on Davis and Stevenson.
We see you, Shakur, before you go? For what? Who have Shakur? What have Shakur done? What have he done in a sport? He haven't done nothing. The young one is looking more better than him. Keyshawn looking way more better than this nigga. So I keep screaming this nigga name. He haven't done nothing. Keyshawn haven't even done nothing.
So what do you say to those who might be afraid?
His name for?
So what do you say to those who might?
Tank's confidence comes from his reputation as one of the sport's most devastating punchers. In response to rumors of a potential fight, Gervonta Davis has continued to minimize Shakur Stevenson's potential threat, dismissing his style as inadequate to handle real power in the ring. Davis said, "All that boxing, what's he gonna do once he gets hit?" Highlighting the stylistic conflict between the two, with Tank relying on sheer strength to overcome Shakur's technical skill, and casting doubt on whether Stevenson's defensive skills could sustain his pressure. Fans avidly debate the conclusion of their conflict, setting the stage for its intensification.
Some of your 135 contemporaries have a lot to say these days. Shakur Stevenson, well, of course he's now 135 after all that stuff, and then Devin Haney.
Right, so why people even talk like he the best at, he didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 30 or none of that.
He is good.
Okay. How can you, all that's just okay. How can you stop people that can actually hit? No matter all that boxing, you going to get hit. What you going to do when you get hit?
In response to a reporter's question concerning reports that he was terrified of taking on Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta "Tank" Davis brushed the idea aside with his characteristic assurance and witty humor. "What are you afraid of?" Tank asked. "All he has is a defense." This remark, which reduces Stevenson's skill set to merely defense, perfectly captures Davis's opinion that, despite Stevenson's technical soundness, his approach lacks the adaptability or offensive threat necessary to really challenge him. Tank expressed his contempt for excessively precise boxing techniques that prioritize dodging blows over landing powerful hits. Fear simply does not play a role in Davis's mindset. His response was not only a rejection of the reporter's question, but also a subtle jab at Stevenson's abilities. Davis's approach to the sport is based on power and dominance, which makes it easy for him to dismiss a fighter who he believes lacks the tools to hurt him in the ring. Tank's confidence, which frequently verges on cockiness, has contributed to his status as a divisive personality in the sport by inspiring both admiration and criticism from fans and other fighters. In addition to silencing the accusations, Tank's statement established the tone for his and Stevenson's continuous verbal altercation.
Who have Shakur? What have Shakur done? What have he done in a sport? He haven't done nothing. The young one is looking more better than him. Who that? The Keyshawn. Keyshawn looking way more better than this. I keep screaming his name. He haven't done nothing. Keyshawn haven't even done nothing.
So what do you say to those who
Y'all
might
keep
be
saying
afraid?
his name for?
So what do you say to those who might be saying that, Tank is afraid of Shakur?
Afraid of what? Afraid of what? Us fighters, if we're afraid of somebody, it gotta be somebody hitting us and hurting us. Like, He don't have no offense. Everything is defense. Defense only win in basketball and football.
Gervonta Davis has continuously put boxing's financial benefits ahead of her quest for contests that will leave a lasting impression. Tank, who considers himself a prize fighter, has never hesitated to acknowledge that money is his main driving force. He has chosen opponents based on their capacity to produce profitable pay-per-view numbers and live gates as a result of this practical strategy. Revenue as opposed to their position in the boxing rankings or stylistic rivalries, Shakur Stevenson, despite being a highly skilled and accomplished fighter, has not yet attained the level of financial attraction or public recognition that would lure Davis into the ring. Tank sees every fight as a business decision, and as of right now, Stevenson doesn't fit the mold of a high-stakes blockbuster match. This viewpoint has drawn criticism from some boxing fans and commentators who claim Davis avoids riskier opponents in favor of safer, more lucrative bouts. Nevertheless, Davis's approach has clearly paid off, as he is now among the most well-known and highest-paid boxing stars, regularly selling out arenas and earning enormous paychecks. Tank doesn't think it would be financially advantageous to face Stevenson, not because he is afraid of losing, but rather because he doesn't think it would be worth the investment. This strategy highlights the conflict between boxing's multiple identities as a business and a sport.
I've been told y'all Gervonta Tank Davis isn't a prize fighter. I know a lot of you guys say, well, he doesn't fight for belts, he doesn't fight for legacy, he fights for money. He's a prize fighter, Jerry. And I'm gonna assume a prize fighter is a guy who is solely making fights based off of cash reward. He'd rather fight a bum for 50 million than fight a guy who's experienced for 10 million. That is what a prize fighter would be. Actual definition, a professional boxer who competes in matches for money prizes. So let's take a look at it. Turki Al-Sheikh has declared he wants to make Tank versus Shakur. He says, my plan for Shakur is this fight. He's referring to Floyd Schofield, then William Zepeda, and then let's see if Tank wants to be in our show. Tank's not going to fight Shakur. He's not going to fight him in Saudi Arabia.
Fans' hopes of a battle with Shakur Stevenson are complicated by Tank Davis's recent announcement that he plans to retire next year. This statement was devastating since it raised questions about whether one of the most eagerly awaited boxing bouts would ever take place. This kind of fight would take a lot of preparation, promotion, and negotiating, all of which take time, and if Tank is serious about retiring, that time may be running short. Stevenson, on the other hand, has not been discouraged. He has maintained that he is prepared to face Tank right now and has urged Davis to force the fight before quitting the sport. But based on his retirement plan, it appears that Davis is more concerned with securing a few last large paychecks than he is with facing a dangerous opponent like Stevenson. Fans are left feeling confused by this development. If Davis decides to retire, the boxing world might be left with yet another hypothetical situation. A rivalry between Stevenson and Davis that never reached the ring. This timing gives his call-outs more intensity as he tries to seize the chance before it passes.
Tank isn't a prize fighter because if he was, his career resume would look a whole lot different. Then we must ask, what is Tank's goal in boxing? I'll tell you right now, it's easy money. Tank is the type of guy, he'd rather fight, let's say, 4 Lamont Roaches for 20 million than fight one Shakur Stevenson for 80 million, which is fine. But I'm tired of people saying, oh, he's a prize fighter. That's why he's not taking these fights. He's not a prize fighter. The biggest money fights is Haney, Ryan, Teo, Shakur, and Loma. He's not even going to take half of those fights. So please, guys, all my Tank fans, all my guys who claim Tank is a prize fighter, that's why he's not fighting for the belts, please stop it. The guy's not a legacy fighter. He's not a prize fighter. He's just a guy who enjoys easy paydays. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Just stop misleading people with your comments.
In interviews and social media posts, Shakur Stevenson has made it clear that he wants to fight Davis. Stevenson has accused Tank of purposefully avoiding a bout with him, even going so far as to say that Davis will never take the fight. He is hesitant to accept the task, framing himself as the fighter who is prepared to take chances and questioning Tank's willingness to do so, Stevenson asserted. Stevenson is using this public call-out as a calculated tactic to raise his name and put pressure on Davis to accept the fight by publicly doubting Davis's bravery. Given that Tank's pride and reputation are on the line, Stevenson is appealing to the psychology of the sport. Stevenson's self-assurance is clear. He thinks his technical skill and versatility will enable him to counteract Davis's influence, transforming what many see to be a conflict of opposites into a demonstration of his dominance. Stevenson's remarks also strike a chord with those who believe Tank has been overly picky about who he fights, portraying himself as a fighter who will take on anyone. Boxers who prioritize competitiveness above business will find Stevenson appealing. His call-outs are pledges to take on the best.
One more question before I go. Why not fight Tank at 135?
Tank ain't gonna fight him, man. He not gonna fight him.
You gotta realize that Tank, he on that other side where he going, act
Take
like
on the cupcakes. Alex, say it.
Man, I'm quite sure.
Look,
So you saying he don't want to put that record up?
Look,
Shady, I know Tank.
Man.
I know Tank, Shady.
I know Tank too.
Let him talk. Go ahead.
Hey, I know Tank too, and I know for a fact at the end of the day, like, he is not jumping into no fight with me. Like, that's a whole different type of atmosphere. That's not like fighting. I'm saying.
So basically, you telling me Tank's scared?
I ain't gonna say the man scared. I'm just saying for a fact.
So what you saying?
He not jumping in the ring with me.
Tank and Shakur Stevenson have often talked about the stylistic characteristics of a possible battle. Tank and I have different abilities, Davis said, highlighting the stark difference between their methods. Tank has the divine capacity to break you down, and I have the divine talent of sight. When I see a punch coming my way, I block it. Shakur's trust in his defensive skills and ring IQ, which he views as his strongest advantages in neutralizing Tank's power, is encapsulated in this comment. There would definitely be a philosophical clash in the fight. Aggression is the cornerstone of Davis's strategy as he overwhelms opponents with stunning knockouts and rapid combinations. For fans, Stevenson, on the other hand, controls the tempo and establishes the conditions of a fight with timing, movement, and accuracy. The possible clash is exciting because of this difference. It's a contest between skill and strength, with each fighter embodying the best aspects of their respective styles. While many fighters have given in to Davis's constant pressure, Shakur's confidence in his ability to drop punches shows that he is willing to adjust to Tank's aggression. Stevenson turns Tank's strengths into vulnerabilities because he believes he is particularly suited to handle it.
Tank is the face of boxing, and he get a lot of knockouts that people kind of making it like, if you ain't doing what Tank doing, then they gonna say it's boring. Do you feel like it's because of how his style is that they kind of putting that on you, like wanting you to do that?
People is blessed with different abilities. He's blessed with a God-given ability that he crack you 9 times out of 10, you gonna go down. That's his ability.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with God-given eyes. A lot of people don't understand how good my eyes is. I can see really good. Like, punches come my way, I know how to get away from them.
Right.
At any given time. Our abilities are just different, so they probably are judging me from a scale of him, but at the end of the day, he's a great fighter. He's a special fighter, but I'm special in my own right.
Fighting Gervonta Davis is the ultimate test for Shakur Stevenson. He has frequently called Tank a legend and the face of boxing, recognizing Davis's stature and impact in the sport. In addition to boosting Stevenson's career, a matchup with Tank would allow him to demonstrate his abilities against one of the most successful fighters of his generation. Stevenson has a very personal reason for wanting to fight Davis. He sees the battle as a means of solidifying his legacy and earning priceless experience against a competitor of Tank's caliber. Shakur sees the fight as a means to develop as a fighter outside of the rivalry and has expressed appreciation for what Davis has accomplished despite the hate speech. In addition to his technical reasons, Stevenson respects the symbolism of the championship belt and sees the possible fight as a turning point in his own career. Shakur Stevenson has stated that his desire for a fight is motivated by his personal enmity towards Tank Davis. We're at odds. Stevenson has stated that their beef isn't just about bad blood. It's a marketing opportunity to make their rivalry a must-watch event, alluding to their history of verbal sparring and public friction. Shakur even claimed that because of the emotional intensity and high stakes of their dispute, the bout would be enjoyable. The hostility between Stevenson and Davis feels real, which gives the possible fight an additional degree of suspense, even though many boxing rivalries are staged for publicity. But for Stevenson, the chance to compete against a boxer of Tank's caliber is more important than the meat. Seizing the opportunity to establish himself against the greatest is more important than resolving a grudge.
So in my previous video, a lot of y'all said that Shakur can outbox Tank. Now, look, I'm not taking nothing away from Shakur. I understand people say he can't be touched and things like that, but when you look at how he fights, he don't dip shit. He just backs up. He just literally like kind of just jumps out the way. Eventually, he's going to do what Frank did and back his ass up in the corner. He's going to get his lights cut off like he didn't play the electric. And like I told y'all in my other video, bro, he's going to get it the worst because after every fight, he's taunting Tank like, hey, man, you got somebody right here that want to fight you, bro. We got real beef right here. Come on, you know, like, let's fight. He's literally asking for...
Boxing fans across the world have been captivated by the continued verbal sparring between Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Many consider their rivalry to be one of the sport's most captivating plot lines, with discussions blazing about who would win a head-to-head contest. Shakur's accuracy and defensive prowess appeal to purists who appreciate technical talent, while Tank's explosive strength and finishing skills have gained him innumerable admirers. With every fresh wave of hate speech that stokes expectations for a battle that might never occur, the gap in fan sentiment has only widened. The rivalry embodies all that is wonderful about boxing: skill, intrigue, and the potential for a memorable bout.
That's why I said Tank is going to make an example out of him. Tank is going to make an example out of him, bro, because he keeps asking for it and going on, you know, social media, doing these interviews, throwing little shots and shit like that. Buddy, we all know why you want to fight. Tank's the face of boxing. You want the experience. Then once you get in the ring with him, it's like, bro, I fought the best of the best. Now I can whoop a random boxer. And you definitely can't have a chin because you don't get hit for real because you run. So I'm going to tell you right now, the fact that you don't have a chin, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you better tuck that motherfucker. Because you saw what happened to Frank. That's exactly where Tank hit Frank.
That concludes the video for today. Till the next time, stay tuned.